All right, thank you for joining me here. Just going to do a little investigation to try to make Battlefield 6 run on a Legion Go. It should be irrelevant. I'm not a fan of supporting the Legion necessarily. They certainly don't support us in order to get this software working on one of their devices. It is a case of side-loading drivers. I'd be more than happy to give the directions for that, but I don't want to be responsible for people having to reinstall Windows. Yeah, things change up a little bit with this software on the basis that it's a sort of older software that's been typically played by people of an older age bracket, people that might come from a Windows PC in the 90s, where Windows was not necessarily an operating system. And they transitioned to seeing Windows as an operating system and then learnt how to install drivers specifically for specific hardware in Windows. Going down the manual method of what we now call side-loading drivers, but saying have disk and pointing it at the relevant driver is doable. Oh, update on launch. All right, so that's good. Why is it not starting? Apologies here. I thought I'd capture the whole thing, and I don't think my battery will last long enough. Oh, okay. So I'm expecting to have to sign in with Electronic Arts, amongst other things. And I've got a keyboard ready, a few things here. But look, whilst I might give in a separate video to this some steps in terms of what I did prior to getting here, I must admit I didn't think I was going to start this software until I'd rebooted my machine, changing up the number of cores, changing up the allocated video RAM, etc., etc., because I'm so far below minimum spec, it's not funny. If I change a couple of settings in my BIOS, I'm a little bit closer to minimum spec for running this game. But again, I reiterate, I lost a lot of power just trying to frame my camera to capture that screen. I've got finite amount of recording time is my take on this, and I'm fairly confident the difficulties I'm going to have getting this game started will probably preclude Sieg at Radeon. But all the same, this just might be an example of what others can expect when trying this out for themselves. Roughly how long to expect for it to start, for example. So this machine at the moment is set to only use 6 of its 8 cores. It's got hyperthreading turned off. It's got the RAM allocated to only a 4 gig VRAM pool. I believe the minimum card needed for this game has 6 gig of VRAM. So a pretty strong feeling it's going to expect a 6 gig VRAM pool, and that'll affect your frame rates by a solid 30% if you haven't got enough VRAM to meet needs. So certainly this first instance, if it fires up, which it won't, I've got to log in via Electronic Arts and do a few things, but if it were to, I think whatever frame rates we would be seeing would be probably about a third down from where they will be after I go via the BIOS. For this game I would turn it back to 8 cores. I'd still leave hyperthreading off, just so there's more cache per core, and it just allows a little bit more voltage to fire over to the GPU or the graphics card part of the chip. All right. Actually, I forgot to check the beta might not even be running right now. It might not be the active hours. Anyway, maybe this is further than most other people get. I don't know. It was fairly straightforward. I thought I was going to have to install Electronic Arts or Origin software. It seemed like the software was available on all storefronts, so I could have got it from Epic if I wished. Steam does have remote streaming, and if I download it on this portable Go and can't get it working, it's actually really super easy to move the files back to my main PC. There's just an option on my main PC if they're both. Right. Interesting. Okay. Didn't expect a Steam overlay not being on as to the reason why I would get caught out. Overlay is under interface, I believe. I thought it was this top one here. Apologies, people. I'm standing back a fair way from my machine, so I'm just going to quickly try to see what's going on. Oh my lord, Steam overlay shouldn't be this difficult. exactly them. That's the one I'm after. All right, so I've done that. But, whoops. Go away. Mispress one button, I tell you. Okay, so I've got probably 14 minutes of record time left on the camera. What we're going to do now, I am just going to close out of Steam. We're just going to shoot via the BIOS super briefly, and we're going to give it the right amount of VRAM and possibly system RAM. All right, so restart. Just holding down the volume up button when the machine restarts. At the moment, it restarts. So holding down volume up button. There we go. And so now it comes over to a BIOS screen setting. Now, if you just bear with me, I'm just going to block the camera off for a moment, just in case some critical data comes up on the screen regarding some of my license keys or whatnot for the machine. But all I've done is when Windows came up, I held down the volume button, came up to a screen where there was a setting, second option, it said BIOS, and then down the bottom right of the screen was the ability to come in here to the BIOS. The second option down is configuration, and in here, and the screen might be a little bit too white, my apologies there, so I'm just going to give it 6 gig of VRAM. That's a heading called UMA frame buffer size. Mine was set to 4, I'm now turning it to 6. And I'm going to scroll right down the bottom. And the last two options is your hyperthreading, which I've got disabled, and the one before that is the number of cores you wish to use, which I had set to 6. So now I'm going to go exit, I'm going to save my changes, and say yes. It's going to take a whole minute of just black screen while it considers rebooting. It might not. I've been reading a lot of the firmware updates for Lenovo. They do seem to have been focusing on things like the timeout time here. I think that was fixed a few months ago. So with the latest firmware updates, I would expect that it doesn't take a full minute of just black screen after changing some BIOS settings. But it looks like it's still the same. What you can't see right now, because it's off camera, is the backlights for the joysticks. The little coloured rings around them are currently still lit to the profile I'd set inside of Windows. So I think that's a little bit clever. At least it tells me it's got power right now and it's kind of doing things. Anyway, I promise you I haven't touched a button or anything. It can take up to nearly a whole minute after you change a couple of settings in BIOS for it to restart. I think it's a polite way of punishing us so that if you were going through your BIOS for performance tuning, if the process is made just a little bit more uncomfortable for no reason whatsoever, it's a disincentive really, isn't it? To me this feels like a couple of years back when you'd start Steam, and if you left your computer in offline mode all the time, or left Steam in offline mode, every time you turned Steam on, you would just waste, for no reason, a minute and a half while it didn't connect, right? In offline mode, it didn't try to get on the net. Oh, sorry, it did try to get on the net. And then it would remind you, oh, you're in offline mode. And then it would let you start. But it's clever, because by punishing or creating disincentives to do certain things, they kind of guide us a little bit, don't they? All right, so let's see if my Bluetooth keyboard is up. It isn't. All right. Don't. Apologies there. I did like to maybe protect my password, possibly. Surely that's what I was doing. All right, so I will have just turned my net off. I don't have an auto reconnect on my network. So connecting now. And I have to manually start Steam with the computer. That's my choice. All right, so we've got just over 10 minutes of time left. Let's see how we go. I've turned my Steam overlay on. I find that a little bit interesting, really. Haven't had a game reject starting because my Steam overlay wasn't on ever before. So yeah, maybe this is some real cutting-edge software, right? If they could do some things different to everyone else, maybe they'll do other things different to everyone else. Maybe like Daikatana, they'll make the jump button a button combo that you got to hit. Right? One of those buttons you actually want to hit all the time instead of just making it a direct button press. Let's make it a crazy hand craw gesture where you got to like twitch your nose and your mouth into a certain direction and face I don't know, Scorpio rising in Venus or whatever astrological equivalent of something rare and random would be. And then if everything lines up and you get your fingers over the right combination of buttons for the right amount of time, magically you'll be granted the power of the jump. Anyway, that was Daikatana. I do think a lot of the very clever people with software engineering might not be the best with human interactive relation with their said devices. Of course, in a litigious world, everyone's got to protect themselves, and so the last thing we need is a change up in the future that's backdated, where some company goes, oh, everybody copied our control scheme. We were the ones that set that button to punch and that button to jump and that button to interact. And it's historically provable that we were the first that used that scheme. And so now everybody else that's using it, they're up for lawsuits, right? And we see that all the time. I think ADOS with Tomb Raider started trying to sue the industry, going, oh, they're now using 3D games, right? They're using 3D graphics. We were the first to use 3D graphics. They all owe us money. So, yeah, who knows? In a litigious world, doing things differently might just be a way to protect yourself. Anyway, 8.5 minutes on the clock left to go. Game is firing up. We have a black screen. We have frame counter down the bottom. We have the Steam overlay per the requirements of the game, which I'm expecting is an agreement with Electronic Arts. Here we go. Type in my login details with these guys. All right. My Bluetooth keyboard isn't working. Apologies, peoples. I kind of needed my Bluetooth keyboard to work as part of this. Can always rely on Windows to not work reliably. So I've got a button on the side of my Legion Go, which is Alt-Tab. Just going to come down to my Bluetooth. Go, where is my keyboard? I need it. Oh, I'll take that as a yes. Okay, maybe I've got a keyboard. Oh, maybe. Yes. Onto it. Now, I've not used one with them for a long time. I don't know. All right, well, I think we're ahead of time. Look, we've still got 6 minutes of time left. I'm going to run to my phone. I'm going to get a code. Okay, I don't really want to link those accounts, I'm sure, but let's do it. Link accounts. Account is linked. Great, get started. Brilliant. Get on. Okay, 6 minutes to go. We have a screen. I feel like we are logged in. Oh, I just hit enter at the wrong time. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the screen was before that one. I hit enter too. It just went by really quickly. Hey, this is looking really good. I'm compiling shaders. 37% done. 5.5 minutes to go. Okay, now rather interestingly, it's saying my frames per second on this screen is about 20. My CPU is about 38% used. The GPU is 100% used, but we are generating shaders. All right, 58%. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Right, so normally if I was playing on this, I'd be using the hand controllers built into the system. At the moment, of course, I've got an external trackball and wireless keyboard, so I'll probably just smash the buttons to try to get a match started. just to try to render any graphics, right? I'm going to hope that the game just defaults to all ultra-low settings. It's just got something it can run with that's playable. When we look at what is expected frame rates, the recommended lows that they give is for 1080 resolution. That's 1920 by 1080. And they're saying that's about 30 frames a second. And that's using a video card substantially more powerful than what this one is. So, could be interesting. Maybe if there's a 720 res option, maybe 800 thereabouts, you know, or run it at the screen resolution that a lot of these low portables have. Due to the nature of having to sideload drivers, I don't know if my Radeon resolution, was it RSR, the upscaler? I don't think I'll be able to use that, or a frame doubler necessarily. Okay, this is good. I'd like to think that the grey value of those patches on the side are at 5% grey. Oh, this is looking good. It's kind of looking like we're on board. I'm just going to rush through this as quick as possible. Performance preset balanced. I'm excited. Look, I mean, obviously I should go in here. I should set everything to low, right? And I should play with inputs, but I'm just going to hit finish setup. I'm just going to go finish setup. And it looks to me like we're up. Okay, so I see a lot of featuring. Maintenance is taking place, no doubt. I feel like I'm on a play screen. I feel like something here would be where I would click to make that happen. Alright, play. Featured. But everything's locked. Okay, so at the moment I don't think it's running. Maybe if I go over to training grounds, it'll give me something here. Playing breakthrough, yep, dismiss. Oh, okay. Firing range. Oh, here we go. That's what I needed. Oh, I can move a mouse. Look down the sights. Oh, well. I feel like I'm kind of blind firing from the hip, but whatever. Okay, well that's interesting. Very happy with that. The frame rate counter is saying 23. CPU has only used 25%. Obviously I'm in a very easy to run area. GPU is 99% used. Right, so at this point I'm only running a low power profile into the video chip. I should give the video chip another 7 watts of power. I should probably turn the CPU back down to 6 threads, 6 cores I should say, because a little bit more grunt going to the graphics card certainly be my preference. And any frame rate limiting I get from underpowered CPU usage, that will limit my top frame rate, but I don't really feel on the world's lowest powered GPU that I'm really worried about my top frame rate. It's probably my minimum frame rate I'm a bit more worried about, at which point leaving my cores to a 6 core load, even if they're maxed out, it might just be I can get slightly higher frames on average or consistently. Don't know, until it's running. I can't really check micro stutter or judder rates. But look, this is definitely working. I'm really happy to see it in action. It is saying it's in a balanced plan. I must admit the resolution on the screen is way too high res. If I was trying to run this for smoothness, 23 frames a second is not what I'd be aiming for, but I would not make the graphics look this pretty. Right, this is just epic. There's just way too much sharpness. I get the feeling it's running at north of 1920 by 1200. In fact, I hope it hasn't defaulted to native. Because this is 2560 by 1600 res is just a little bit too much. Okay, so what have we got? Config up here, graphics. Okay, didn't see it on this top screen. Oh, yep, full screen resolution. Right, let's lower the res to something reasonable. Right, most people would run it maybe at 1600 by 1000. That's still quite high res, I would say. We want to apply that. I don't see the apply. Oh, there we go. There's apply. Keep changes. So I feel like we've lost our ratio a little bit. I'll just come back over to play. Just come back over to the firing range, although it's a little bit hard to do now. Firing range, firing range. Yeah, okay, so I've mucked up I've chosen a non-equal ratio. And it has played with things there, but I'm now at 55 frames a second. This is actually, and it feels smooth. So, if someone was to ask me, is this game playable on these systems?